Test 1 2. Test 1 2. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Preston Sports Podcast, coming at you on Friday the 9th. Took the week off. I wanted to. I felt like it. But, I could not miss another great Fix 'em Up Friday. Thought about doing a couple teams, but shout out to Sarah. I'm doing the Cardinals today. If you don't know, I have a deep personal connection with the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, first overall pick, 2019, coming out of Oklahoma. Played quarterback for Allen High School. I live in Allen. I went to Allen schools for a good amount of time, about 6 years. So me and Kyler, we're basically best friends. He's short. I'm short. He's light-skinned. I'm light-skinned, but I'm white. I mean, we're just the best of friends. And so I figured, let's fix the team up for him, make life a little easier for him. Before we do that, make sure, you know what I'm going to say, make sure you like, subscribe, do the notification bell, all those good things. Wait, what's it? I did it with my pen that time. I wonder if it was any different. But, so we're going to be looking at the Cardinals today. I like the Cardinals. They started off last year really well, did not necessarily finish that way, which is okay. They had some really, really nice additions in the offseason. You're talking, they brought in A.J. Green. They traded for Rodney Harrison. Brian Winters is someone they brought in. Kelvin Beachum. Max Williams. They did bring in Max Williams. Justin Pugh. They kind of just revamped their offensive line. And through the draft, they added Xavier Collins. They added a couple guys in the later rounds. Rondell Moore out of Purdue. Shout out Corbin. And Matt Prater is their kicker now. Good for them. So, James Conner is someone else they added. They added Colt McCoy because he's going to be really used in this offense. But, yeah, obviously last year traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Kind of a big deal. But, this team's really good. But it can be better. And so, looking at one way it can be better, recently it came out that N'Keal Harry has requested a trade. I think they should trade for N'Keal Harry. DeAndre Hopkins is like their guy. He's the number one wide receiver, great hands, great size, really good wide receiver. But then after that, you're looking at Andy Isabella, Christian Kirk, and Rondell Moore. Now, those guys are good. They're good football receivers, but you notice they're not necessarily the biggest guys in the world. They're more speed guys, which is fine. You need speed guys. Speed is very important in the modern NFL. But at the same time, N'Keal Harry, let me pull it up. He's 6'4", 225. He's a big boy. And I think, people say N'Keal Harry was a bust. He was taken at the 32nd pick of the first round. They're like, they could have taken DK Metcalf, blah, blah, blah. A.J. Brown was available, all these other players. I think it's important so we look at, he only has 45 catches in his career. Yeah, he only has 45 catches, but he also only has 81 targets. You got to figure he only played 7 games in 2019, and he did play a good amount more, twice as many, 14 in 2020. But at the same time, his production from 2019 to 2020 did increase, not necessarily as far as touchdowns go, but as yards go. He went from 12 catches to 33 catches, 100 yards, 105 yards to be exact, to 109 yards. He went from 8.8 yards per catch to 9.4. His first downs more than doubled, going from 7 to 15. His yards per game went up. His catch percentage also went up. And that is something that is kind of concerning, even with 33 targets. You would hope with 33 targets, your catch percentage would probably be around like 85, 90. Like, with only that many targets, you want a good catch percentage. But his yards per target went up it did go up a yard from 4.4 to 5.4. I think this kid has potential. I don't think this kid will be the greatest wide receiver ever, but I think he just hasn't had that much opportunity. So he has size, he has an increase, or he's had an increase in production, and that, like, you got it. Tom Brady 2019 with the Patriots was not the best Tom Brady ever, and then you look Cam Newton 2020 with the Patriots. He played really good those first couple games, but towards the end of the season after COVID Cam wasn't the same. So it's like, are we really going to hold this kid responsible for the lack of opportunity he had? And it's entirely possible that it is not you don't want to trade much for him. Well, league value for N'Keal Harry is a conditional 6th round pick. So, like, if you're the Cardinals, worst case scenario, you keep him for 2 years and it just doesn't work. That's worst case scenario. I think the Cardinals should try to make a move for him. There's a couple other teams I think should, but right now we're talking about the Cardinals. So that's what I think they should do this offseason, like right now, to maximize how good their team could be. As far as key players to re-sign, they don't have too many crazy free agents coming up. Highest names on the list, you're looking at Chandler Jones. He's kind of holding out. He wants a new contract. I think that Christian Kirk is a big name that they should try to bring back. I think Christian Kirk is massively underrated. I think he can be really good. And then they have both James Conner and Chase Edmonds coming up towards the end of their deals. So I think they should try to sign one of them. Whichever one, depends on, I guess, how they do this year. I would say James Conner is better overall, but that's just me personally. I don't know too much about either of them, so don't really take my word for it. As far as that goes, like, those are the big ones. There's obviously going to be depth pieces. Andy Lee's a free agent, but he's also 40 years old. Do you want to keep a 40-year-old punter? That's up to you. Max Williams is, I guess, someone you could consider important for them to re-sign because they don't really have another tight end. Let me just double-check that they don't. Yeah, it goes from Max Williams to Darryl Daniels. So, I mean, you would probably want to get another tight end, whether that be through the draft or free agency. And he's even Darryl Daniels is also going to be a free agent. So, I mean, like, they're long snappers of free agent, but I'm not going to say that's key. You know, it's just a bunch of depth pieces after that. As far as possible free agents go, now, in case you don't know, I do this thing where I'll just load up a Madden franchise, and I'll use that to, like, kind of randomly generate people who will be free agents hypothetically. Just so it's not like I look at all the players, because it's not always realistic that all the players will be there in free agents. So, or in free agency rather. So that's what I did. They're real positions of need. I want to put inside linebacker. I don't know what Zaven Collins was kind of in a incident with the law, so I don't necessarily know what his availability will be. But, I mean, they still will need another inside linebacker. As far as offensive line free agency goes, there were a couple really good options here. Wyatt Teller was in free agency. He's someone that I think would be a really good sign. Now, depending on what he does this year, he is going to demand top-of-the-market money, but he's been playing like the best guard, or he played like the best guard in football this past year. So it makes sense, you know, if you're playing like one of the best of your position, you want to get paid like one of the best of your position. So you'll probably see, assuming the Browns don't sign Wyatt Teller back, you'll probably see Wyatt Teller end up going, or you'll probably see him. He might end up going to the Cardinals. I don't really want them to do too much as far as offensive line goes, because they're kind of paying people a lot of money. Another position of need I have for them is corner. I think corner is a huge need for them. They have Byron Murphy Jr., but behind him, they don't really have that much. Here, let me check what they have right now. And some of these people could be leaving in free agency, just so you know. I'm not exactly positive. So Byron Murphy's their nickel. Malcolm Butler, he's leaving in free agency. Charles Washington, Deontay Thompson, Jalen Thompson. Tay Gowan was taken in the 6th round of this past draft. So, you don't necessarily need, like, the best corner ever, but you just need something. And so, like, maybe a Darius Williams from LA. A Jimmy Smith from probably not Jimmy Smith, he's old. Desmond King ended up being a free agent. Now, he might not be the best because he kind of is a nickelback as well, but maybe he has the ability. Sidney Jones is always available. He's always a pretty good depth piece. MJ Stewart is kind of a slot guy that they could use if they wanted to. Eli Apple is garbage. Let's see, who else showed up? I mean, yeah, you really don't need too much. Kyle Fuller was there. He is more on the high-end market. They don't have an incredible amount of cap space, assuming they sign back Chandler Jones, who will take up a lot of money. But, you don't need anything too crazy. You just need someone to kind of fill those positions. And then I guess I'll look at what they had for the interior linebackers, too. Because even if Zaven Collins isn't in trouble with the law right now, it's always good to see, Who is there? Jayon Brown is there a good amount. He's always someone that you could pick up. A lot of these guys are kind of depth pieces. You could pick up Anthony Walker was also there. Really good, or he is a run stopper. There wasn't that much as far as interior lineman goes. Josie Jewell is the name I recognize. Excuse me. Yeah, there's not that many inside linebackers. Only 36 entering free agency. Total. That's only 36 total. So, assuming people get signed back from teams, it's not exactly a given that there will be that many options. But, I mean, I guess you could say they need some defensive linemen to kind of spruce up the interior. Or, no, I am so sorry. They do need another edge rusher. I forget the way they're playing J.J. Watt. The way they have it on the depth chart is they do run a 3-4. Their linebackers are Marcus Golden, Chandler Jones, and then right now J.J. Watt is listed at defensive end, so I don't know if that means he's going to end up playing on the interior of the line, but, it's kind of, who could they sign? They could sign, Larry Ogunjobi was there. There's a couple people. Vernon Butler was there. Nick Williams was there. Malik Jackson was there. Jonathan Allen. If Jonathan Allen was there, if Jonathan Allen is someone that they can sign, that would be a huge signing. And then, so realistically, there's not that many players that you don't want to sign an insane amount of players in free agency, especially with the contracts they have coming up. You consider how much they're paying DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to have to pay Kyler Murray, Xavier Collins. Excuse me, depending on whatever his deal is. There's a lot. Kyler Murray, if he keeps playing really good, you're probably going to see him demand top money. But as far as edge goes, who's a good edge player? Hassan Reddick, sign him back. JPP should hit free agency, or he's someone that was there hitting free agency. Tack McKinley hit free agency. There wasn't a lot of good edge rushers. There's people like Eric Wilson and Derek Barnett who are there. They exist. Nicholas Morrow, or I don't think Nicholas Morrow's an edge rusher. Emmanuel Ogbah was there. Calais Campbell, who's not an edge. Dante Fowler Jr., who hasn't been very good. It's kind of a tough class for what the team needs. Von Miller is supposed to be a free agent, so maybe Denver doesn't re-sign him. Maybe he won't retire that way. But, yeah, so as far as free agency goes for what they need, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough for what they need. But I really do like the Cardinals. Now, one thing that I don't normally do for these is I don't talk about the coaching that much. But because some of them, like the Jets, it's a new head coach, or I think most of the teams I've talked about have established coaches. Like I know I did Cleveland, with Stefanski, Miami with B-Flow. I'm not really worried, but with Cliff Kingsbury, I'm worried. I think Cliff Kingsbury has limited this team a lot, and that could just be me, but that's just something that I've seen. Yeah, that's just me. Did I say they traded for Rodney Hudson? I think I did, yeah. Solid move from them. But he's kind of old, but solid move from them. But yeah, I really like what this team has. I like their wide receiver core. I like their quarterback. I like their offensive line a good amount. You look at DJ Humphries, who according to PFF was the 4th best tackle in football. Not bad. Now, granted, most of that was run blocking. Great run blocker. Had a 79 pass blocking grade, which is nothing to scoff at. Justin Pugh had a good pass block grade, not a great run block grade. Kelvin Beachum was ranked 46th by PFF, but with 2 tackles, so you have to 32 times 2 is 64. So he's an okay tackle. But yeah, I like this team. I think this team is a real shot. The only problem this team has is the division they're in, and I am worried about coaching. But as far as, say, everything goes perfect for them, I'm just worried about the division they're in. But in all honesty, I think besides the Rams, they're the most complete team. Seahawks, they have their struggles with their defense is kind of and their offensive line is kind of The Niners, you have the quarterback question. Is Jimmy G the guy, or is Trey Lance going to be the guy, and will Trey Lance be the guy? And their defense is lacking secondary. With the Rams are pretty good, but they did lose John Johnson and Troy Hill, 2 key players on their secondary. So how good is their defense going to be? And then is Matthew Stafford good enough to carry the team? I think Matthew Stafford's good. I think he's overrated, though. That's just me personally. But, yeah, so that's what I think the Cardinals should do. I think it's very important for them to improve certain spots of their offensive line. I think it's important for them to retain, if not improve, their running back position. Improvement would obviously be the best, but if you can't improve it, retain what you have and don't let it get worse. Trade for N'Keal Harry. AJ Green is kind of their big guy. They're physically big guy right now, but he's also AJ Green and old. So I think it would be a good idea for them to get a younger big guy who could possibly be good. I think Rondale Moore is going to have a good year. I think tight end. Maybe they trade for Zach Ertz. Maybe that's something they want to do. There's a lot of connections with the Bills right now, but maybe they want to trade for Zach Ertz. That's just an idea I had. Defensively, I like I did not even mention Isaiah Simmons, who's been used so wrong. They need to start using him as like an overhang defender, because that's just what he's good at. That's when he does his best, I think. Am I confusing him with someone else? I might be confusing him with someone else. But yeah, with players like this, and you'll see it with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at the Browns, players who, like, you're kind of a linebacker, you're kind of a safety, you can play nickelback. With the NFL, like, it's great having that versatility, but you don't want to be playing every position your rookie year. You kind of want to learn what you're doing, and that's kind of what they did, which I respect what they did with Isaiah Simmons. They're trying to develop him because there's so much he has to learn if he wants to do that in the NFL, which is play multiple positions. So not throwing him in and just letting him, like, learn is, I think, a really good idea. But obviously, J.J. Watt, really good at football. Chandler Jones, really good at football. Zaven Collins should hopefully make this team good. I think he has some processing issues to where he moves and runs faster than his mind works. That's just some things I've seen on tape, but that can all be fixed by coaching, hopefully. Marcus Golden's kind of a weak spot, but you don't need 2 elite edge rushers. I think it's good, but you don't necessarily need them. Buda Baker, beast. I mean, I didn't even mention, Ronnie Harrison was available, and he's a player that I could see working, playing strong safety. Just because if Isaiah Simmons not playing safety, and Charles Washington is playing safety, just throw Ronnie Harrison. I think that would be a pretty cool idea. And then just improving corner, like getting new corners in there to play. But yeah, so improvement corners, improvement edge, improvement on defensive line. With Isaiah Simmons, you don't really need improvement in the interior. Yeah, get a better strong safety, better corners, improve the offensive line a little bit, set your wide receiver core up for youth a little bit more. And yeah, that's what I think we should do with the Cardinals to make them as best as they could possibly be. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe. I'll be back next week while I'm at work, which is nice. I will talk to you guys on Monday. I think Monday we're going to do, because last Sunday I did the rookies who I think will underperform, so I'll probably do rookies who are supposed to overperform on Monday. Let me know if there's any rookies you think that will overperform, and let me know why. I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Peace out. Enjoy the weekend.